All right, let's talk about memes. You know them, you've probably sent a dozen today. But have you ever really stopped to think about how these simple, often silly, internet jokes have become this massive force in our world? I mean, we're talking about something that can shape culture, completely upend financial markets, and even play a role in politics. So how on earth did we go from funny cat pictures to all of this? Let's dig in.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what we're calling the accidental town square, basically how the internet became the perfect breeding ground for memes. Then we'll jump into how memes got a message with hashtags that changed worlds. After that, we're going to pop the hood on the emotion engine and see the real science behind why things go viral. Then we'll watch memes take on Wall Street in the meme stock revolution. And finally, we have to look at the dark side with the disinformation playbook.
Okay, so first things first. How did the internet become the ultimate meme machine? Well, the short answer is, it was a total accident. Nobody planned this. So let's take a look at how this digital town square got built, pretty much by mistake.
It's kind of wild to think about, but the internet wasn't always this social free-for-all. It started out in the 60s as this tiny military project. By the 90s, when most people got online, it was basically a big one-way library. You could look, but you couldn't really interact. But then, the early 2000s hit. Platforms like Meetup.com started popping up, and the whole focus shifted from just getting information to actually connecting with other people. And that right there is when things started to get interesting.
And this right here is the secret sauce. Harvard Law professor Jonathan Zittrain calls this kind of infrastructure generative. Now, what that really means is that people can use it to build things and create stuff that the original designers never, ever imagined. Just think about it. The people who built Twitter and Facebook weren't thinking, let's create a tool for global revolutions. But that's what users turned them into. People took the tools and ran with them, creating this incredibly powerful public space that no one saw coming.
All right, so the stage is set. We've got this accidental town square, and it's full of people. So what happens when they start using it to spread a real message? This is the moment, this is the pivot point, where memes stop being just jokes and start becoming these really powerful tools for change.
And the key to all of this is something we see 100 times a day. Hashtag activism. It sounds kind of official, but it's an incredibly simple idea. That little pound sign isn't just for organizing your food pictures, it's a rallying cry. It creates an instant global forum where millions of people who have never met can all join the same conversation.
And a perfect example of this is hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, a horrifying story from Nigeria. Hundreds of schoolgirls kidnapped. But with that one simple hashtag, it went from a local tragedy to a global crisis, just like that. All of a sudden, governments around the world were feeling intense pressure to actually do something. That's the power we're talking about.
And it's not always tied to a single news event. Look at hashtag YesAllWomen. This was something different. This created a space for millions of women to share their own personal stories about misogyny and sexism. It revealed the true, staggering scale of a shared experience in a way that a dry statistic in a report just never could. It was personal, it was raw, and it was impossible to ignore.
Hashtags can even take on the biggest institutions. Hashtag OscarsSoWhite put a huge, glaring spotlight on the lack of diversity in Hollywood. The public outcry was so loud that the Academy itself had to respond. They actually made real, concrete changes to their membership and how they vote. I mean, that's a direct line from a trending topic to changing the rules in Hollywood.
Okay, so we've seen what memes and hashtags can do. But let's talk about the why. Why do some of them explode and spread like wildfire, while others just don't? Well, turns out it's not just luck. There's a science to it, an emotion engine that drives virality.
It's the million-dollar question, right? We've all wondered it. What is the secret ingredient that makes something go viral? And the answer, it turns out, isn't some complex algorithm. It's much simpler. It all comes down to emotion.
Now, this is absolutely fascinating. Research from Wharton shows it's not about whether an emotion is positive or negative. It's all about something they call arousal, basically how fired up it makes you. So high arousal emotions, things like awe, anger, anxiety, they act like rocket fuel. They make you want to do something, share it, comment, argue. But low arousal emotions, like sadness, they tend to make us quiet down and turn inward. So if you want something to spread, you need to get people's blood pumping.
Okay, so let's take this emotion engine and apply it somewhere you really wouldn't expect, the stock market. What happens when you combine these high arousal emotions, anger, excitement, a feeling of community, with a financial movement? Well, you get a revolution.
This quote from a Reddit user right in the middle of the GameStop mania, it just says it all, doesn't it?
This was not about spreadsheets and careful financial planning. This was a crusade. It was fueled by pure passion, anger at the system, and this incredible collective excitement. This is that emotion engine firing on all cylinders.
So here's the quick and dirty version of what happened. You had these giant Wall Street hedge funds betting billions that GameStop, the video game store, would fail. But then, an army of regular people online, fueled by memes and this real sense of injustice, they decided to fight back. They all started buying and holding the stock, which sent the price to the moon. This created something called a short squeeze, which forced the big hedge funds to buy back shares and lose an insane amount of money. It was a full-on financial rebellion, and memes were the battle cry.
So we've seen how memes can empower people, give a voice to the voiceless. But any tool this powerful can be twisted. What happens when those same tactics are used not to inform, but to deceive? Well, that's when you enter the dark side of the meme.
You see, not every movement that looks like it's coming from the people actually is. There's a name for these fake campaigns: astroturfing. Think of it like fake grass on a football field. It looks real, but it's completely artificial. A really clear example is China's 50-cent party. These are people literally paid by the government to flood social media with pro-government comments to create the illusion of popular support.
And the technology behind this deception is evolving at a terrifying pace. I'm talking about deepfakes. This is AI-generated media that is so realistic, it's getting incredibly hard to tell what's real and what's fake. With a deepfake, you can make it look like anyone said or did anything on video.
And this isn't some futuristic what-if scenario. This technology is already being weaponized in the worst ways. A report from 2019 found that a shocking 96% of deepfake videos online were non-consensual pornography, and nearly all of it was targeting women. So this isn't some tech curiosity. It is a very real tool of harassment and abuse.
The political implications are just chilling. We've already seen a deepfake of President Zelensky telling Ukrainian soldiers to surrender. We've seen them used to target and silence journalists. Politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are apparently dealing with this on a weekly basis. This is so much more than just misinformation. It's a weapon designed to create chaos, destroy trust, and silence people.
So, where does all this leave us? We've traced this incredible journey, from a simple joke to a force that can literally move our world. But in an age where reality itself can be so easily manipulated, maybe the question isn't just who controls the narrative anymore. Maybe the real question is, what narrative can we even trust?